I was working there, and then someone reached out and they were like, so we're doing these TED Talk, this TEDx event, and the topic is finding purpose. So I think you'd be perfect for that, and you can tell your story and how you apply this, concept of how can I find purpose in my life to your life and career, and just walk us a bit through your journey. And I was like, yes, please, take me. And the rest is history, right? It was really fun.
Have you enjoyed listening to the IncrediPaul podcast? Are you looking for a way to support it? Or maybe you just want some swag? Check out the IncrediPaul store today. We have shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, hats, stickers, and so much more. Go to IncrediPaul.org, IncrediPaul.org, and click on the store link. Or go to the link in my socials bio and click on the IncrediPaul shop. Looking forward to seeing your IncrediPaul look.
Turn this up, turn this up.
Your professional development is one of the keys to your career success. When you combine your desire to grow with actionable steps, your journey to success becomes an incredible reality. Welcome to the IncrediPaul podcast. And now, sharing his expertise, experience, and excellence with the world, here's your host, Paul Faranbi.
Hi, I'm Paul Faranbi, and welcome to the IncrediPaul podcast. We learn how to become the most incredible versions of ourselves by learning from each other. Today, I have Mariana on the podcast. She works in tech, and she's a passionate content creator helping young professionals launch and develop their career. I said a little bit about you, but how about you introduce yourself the way you would do it?
I love that. Thank you for that kind introduction.
Yes.
I think for me, so following the same note, right? Yeah. I have always had kind of this line where I was always trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And when I graduated from university, so I studied business and economics, I was not sure what I wanted to get into, because business is this big buzzword that you're not actually super sure what it means. Like, oh, what does it mean? Like, can I go into marketing, consulting, startups, big tech? Where is it? So I decided to take a gap year where I was exploring different career options. And that's when I realized that the job search world was not as easy and straightforward as I was sold in university, have good grades and you're going to get an amazing job. It's not exactly how it works, There are other aspects of it.
Yes.
And then LinkedIn, the platform, was very daunting for me when I used to get in there and everyone's landing jobs, everyone's landing promotions, but no one was actually sharing what they were going through and the struggles that come with that. Yeah. So I decided to start creating content. Like, it took me some time.
Yeah.
It was like a multiple step process. I started sharing my story, my struggles. I knew I was eventually going to find a job, but I didn't have a job at the time. So I was trying to share that part of the journey. And I mean, a lot of people relate with that, and that's how everything started scaling. Everything started, just revamping. And I used that to create my own coaching company. So in the beginning, I was doing a lot of individual coaching. So it's called Cluming. Awesome. And right now I'm not doing individual coaching anymore. I'm using it to host workshops and personal branding. Nice. And I mean, it's been a journey. And now I'm working in Dublin in tech. So trying to share my journey, continuing doing that. Same as you're doing, just sharing our thoughts with the world, and hopefully it will help someone.
Yeah, awesome. And I know firsthand that you're helping a lot of people with over 50,000 followers across all your platforms. That's incredible, the lives that you're impacting. Really remarkable.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you said you're in Dublin right now. Is that like where you're from or grew up, or did you come there for work? Or tell me more about that.
All right, so that's a very good question, because I've been in Dublin for 1 year now.
Okay.
And I was already trying to come to Dublin because that's where the tech hub in EMEA is. So all the tech companies are here. So I'm like, okay, it has to be Dublin, Yeah. Or you go to London, but that's, with Brexit, it's a bit trickier.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was born in Portugal. That's where I come from. That's where half of my family comes from. And then I'm kind of a third culture kid. So my grandparents come from different places, like Japan, Lebanon, then they moved to Guinea, then they moved to Portugal. But
oh, wow.
I mean, like I have a lot of culture influences, but my heart is Portuguese, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah, like for myself, I grew up in the United States, but I wasn't born in the United States.
Mhm.
Like my parents and most of my extended family is from Nigeria. I was born in Nigeria.
Oh,
Yeah, so I
yeah.
came here when I was 4 years old. And actually, it's funny you mentioned you're in Dublin. I actually have cousins that, I guess, second cousins that are, because it's my dad's cousins that live in Dublin.
Oh, nice. Have you ever visited
Yeah, I
Dublin
think,
or Nigeria?
yeah, Nigeria, it's been a while. It's been like 6 years. I definitely want to go back. And Dublin, I was 7 years old when we went to Dublin. My dad went for work and he brought our whole family. We lived in Dublin for like 6 months.
Well, so you can be Irish now. You understand the culture of it.
Yeah, a little bit. I was still
It's a good
pretty young.
country.
I didn't really understand the world or anything like that. I just remember it being very green. So,
Yeah, that's definitely something we can't complain about. There's a
yes,
lot of nature. Yeah.
yes, it's remarkable. So with you working in tech, is that something that you've always wanted to do, or at what point did you it kind of click in your mind that you wanted to work in tech?
Yeah, that's I might say this throughout this interview the whole
Yeah,
time, but it's a great question again,
yeah,
because the straight answer would be absolutely not. I didn't even know what the tech world was about. I didn't even know that I could be in the tech world
mhm,
because, like, I don't know if most some countries are like that, but the way I studied it and the way they sold me companies was very binary. Like I was
oh,
in business and they used to say, okay, you can do consulting. That's the easy way in. You can build your resume
yeah,
really well. You work in Portugal and then you become
yeah,
partner and then you might do something else or you go into marketing. So
oh, wow,
I was sold these two options and I was not in love with either of those.
oh,
Even because like I had marketing in university like a course, but
mhm.
I was aware that a course and what you actually do in the job is not the same, right?
Are you a STEM student? Do you have questions about life after undergrad? Are you not sure what professional development really means? Or maybe you just want to meet some incredible people and ask questions to someone who's been in your shoes before. The IncrediPaul student community is for college students who want some help navigating through college, finding their way into grad school, a career, or even starting a business. We will meet once a month for an hour each time. You can reach out with questions at any time through a special group of people you know are serious about their growth as a student leading into a professional. Go to incredipaul.org/community to learn more about this. You can also go to my About page, incredipaul.org/about, to learn more about me. Join me in becoming the most incredible student you can be.
Yeah. So when I did my gap year, actually it was just 7 months, but I still count it as a gap year because then I was like, okay, I know where I'm doing. And my first hypothesis was I'm gonna take a gap year for as long as it takes until I figure out where I'm going for, right? And I remember like sitting down and thinking, okay, kind of doing like a SWOT analysis of myself, like what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, how am I positioned in the world, what
Yeah,
are potential things that I could enjoy with the knowledge that I had at the time, which is
yeah,
like graduates, just early, about to graduate kind of person.
okay,
And I wrote down, made a list of hypotheses of things that I thought I could enjoy potentially.
mhm,
And then I was like, okay, I think I can enjoy working in a fast-paced environment with a team of 5 people, like these kind of
mhm,
lines. I was like, okay, how can I find these? And
mhm,
then as I was walking the gap year path, I was meeting people, I was adding hypotheses, I was like changing, reflecting on the things, getting internships. And randomly, I mean, not randomly, but with this journey of like creating
yeah,
content, getting closer, I started creating a project with one of my friends. We called it Surf the Job. So
oh,
we went to an acceleration program. We're creating these, kind of student acceleration platform to help them land jobs in startups. And that's the first contact I had with tech, right? We had to understand
okay,
like, okay, what's like full stack, and now we don't know how to code, but we still need to do these kind of things.
oh, yeah,
We're meeting a lot of tech startups. And that was the first thing. And I was like, wow, this is a always changing environment. So this is something I want to better understand. And through that, like I landed an internship at a tech consulting company.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, I love the tech world. It's huge, but this
Yeah.
is the route I'm going for.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's really cool. I know very little about the tech world, just on the outside looking in. I've just worked mainly in manufacturing, like on the food side of things, and then now more like um, cosmetics and like laundry kind of thing. So the tech world looks really exciting. Is there anything about the tech world that either you found out when you first interned or when you were full time that most people don't know about it, or maybe just stuck with you?
So I think the first thing would be the imposter syndrome that you have before you go in,
Yeah.
which I had very strongly in myself, because I was like, oh, I'm not capable of this, because I was just told this was not a possible reality.
Yeah.
And when I got in, everyone is so accessible and so kind and so humble, and you just fit in.
Yeah.
And the first thing, everyone told me that, because I was like, yeah, but do I belong here? Do I not? Do I have the skills required to be here? Like, I'm not a programmer, You don't need any kind of tech skills to be in tech. There's a lot of non-technical roles. Like me, I'm in marketing, right? Or sales, or these kind of roles. So you can learn anything in the job. You just need to find a way in. And then from there, it's endless possibilities.
That's awesome. I'm glad you mentioned imposter syndrome, because that's something I'm really passionate about. As far as a lot of times people don't realize that feeling of not belonging is that imposter syndrome. And a lot of times with imposter syndrome, it's really easy to think that it's only happening to you, or you're the only one that's feeling that way. But when you're looking at an industry that you've never done before, even when you change roles, that imposter syndrome can come up because it's something new and you feel like everyone else has been doing it. They know it like the back of their hand. It's definitely something to acknowledge and just to work through it and talk to people about it.
Yeah, I think that part of, like, wherever kind of thing you go into, but that kind of representation, it's very, very important, because especially when you start, like in the beginning, I was not sharing that. I was struggling. I was like, I always had the good grades. I should just get a job, or I just got in tech. There's other people starting at the same level as me, and they look so confident. I'm not going to share my struggles, because I'm just alone in this. But when you start sharing, there's obviously different levels. Maybe some people are like, okay, I really don't belong here. Other people are like, okay, I'm more confident. I still feel this a bit, but we need to like get over it and still do things. But when you share, you just realize everyone's going through the same. And I also like find very interesting. For example, I have one of my friends is in a very senior role. He's like top achiever. He deals with all the clients. He's like going to all these places that you go. Like there's the club, for example, where he goes, because he has achieved so much and he's also contributing for the culture. Wow. Yeah, and then he still like the other day he was telling me how he was gonna present in front of millionaires, which is something he does like on the background. He was like, "Oh my God, I'm terrified." I'm like, "But you've been doing this for 5 years. How are you terrified?" And he's like, "Yeah, but now I have to come out as the expert and be like presenting. Like I'm still gonna do it." I'm like, "Yeah, but you've been doing this forever and being like genius in it." And I was like, you can always have it in so many different directions that it's like, so I think it's something you feel. It's good that you feel it, right? Because if you don't feel anything at all, it means that you're probably too comfortable. In my opinion. So it's like, feel it, but then still do it, right? And don't let it stop you.
Well, that's really powerful, because a lot of people feel like having fear is a bad thing, but fear it's human nature. It's what you do with that fear that's more important, and having the courage to just walk through the fear and still do it anyway. And the next time is that much easier. That's very powerful.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And I know you were talking about LinkedIn, and then I know you post a lot on there, and then that's how we got connected with all the amazing content you share and all the stuff you do with helping young professionals get further in their career. And I think you mentioned that you had worked with your friend on a company, helping people in that sense. Like that's how you first got into tech. Was it LinkedIn? Was that around the same time, or when did you really start getting the swing of posting regularly on LinkedIn? How did you make that jump?
Good question. So actually, we started building the project before I started posting on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I mean, it was just something we're doing on the side. We're trying to figure out for ourselves, like
Yeah.
what would work and what wouldn't. It was
Yeah.
COVID. It
Yes.
was a COVID project, you know,
Yes.
all those amazing goodies that come from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we took it, we did it for a year, and then we realized that there was a lot of potential, but it was not a scalable project in this sense. And then there was someone that we met through this journey, another founder, and he was building something that was similar. So we figured out a way to like not let the database and everything that we've built just die completely.
Okay.
So we kind of like merged the two projects. And yeah, and it was good. And then for LinkedIn, I was actually doing an internship in Guinea-Bissau, where my family is from.
Nice.
So I got a work visa to go there. It was
Nice.
still like kind of the end of COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, COVID just ended, you know, when there was like a big crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I remember I was like, okay, now I think I know what I'm going for. Let me figure this out, you know? And I was like, okay, first thing I need to build my LinkedIn profile. Okay, how do we do this? Let's like explore the platform. Okay, second thing, we need to network. Okay, I'm terrified. You know, these people have no idea who I am. Why am I going to send them a message and ask them to have a coffee chat with me? You know, I was like, I'm taking these people's time. Plus, they might ghost me. They don't care. So everything was very, you know, I didn't really understand.
Are you wondering what's next? Has everything you tried failed? Or maybe you just feel stuck? Then coaching might be right for you. The coaching relationship is a relationship totally centered on you. If you're tired of running on the hamster wheel of life and want to start to see results, reach out to IncrediPaul for help. So what are you waiting for? Go to IncrediPaul.org/coaching, IncrediPaul.org/coaching, or at I am IncrediPaul on all my socials. Or you can click the link in the bio for your free coaching session. I want to make sure you become the most incredible version of yourself.
Now I look back and I look now that people message me, I'm like, oh, you know, like this is amazing. I'm always happy to receive a message.
Yeah.
I try to reply to everyone, you know, like the same. That's how we connected, right?
Yeah.
So it's something you get over. And then I was like, wow, okay, this platform is scaring me because I'm at a point where I don't know where I'm going for, and everyone has their lives together, you know, and I'm so lost. And I just see promotion. I don't see how I can get to the place I want to get, you know. So that's how I was like, okay, I think I can add something in here, you know, add the journey, add a bit of the failures and this more vulnerable approach to job search. And then, I mean, I'm a bit of a planner. So I was like, okay, I'm very scared to like just make a big post because again, no one knows who I am. Yeah. Let me start with small steps. So I defined some deadlines for myself. And I was like, okay, for 1 month, everything I'm going to do is comment on 5 people's posts every single day, because it's like kind of a micro post, you know, your network still sees wherever you're commenting or engaging. Yeah. And that's a way to start building thought leadership when you don't have it, right? I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. At the same time, I'm going to, you know, make a list of, I think it was around like 20 creators that I liked. Wow. They're like, I was like, I want to be somewhere in this niche. I want to, you know, try to emulate this content, take some inspiration from here. So I was just like scrolling to their profiles, reading all their posts. Awesome. And then I think it took me 3 months to write my first post. Like 3 months. It was, but now have never stopped, you know.
That's remarkable. I just love how you broke it all down and that you plan. I'm a planner as well. So it's just that you had a plan and you took the steps. And like when I coach people on stuff, it's those little wins are so crucial to help you to keep going. Because like when you have a seemingly insurmountable goal, it's that inertia of just starting and then it's easier to keep in motion than if you don't start at all and you try to craft the most perfect post.
Yeah, I love that. Like it's exactly that, right? It's like a combination of the atomic habit kind of drive, which is you just like you start one thing and then you just like put one thing after the other and then breaking things down. For me, like I have a friend also, she's a TikTok creator. We always talk about these things because like I can get stuck in the ideation phase. I love it, you know? I could sit down, come out with like 50 ideas, like 500 ideas, and spend my entire life doing that, and then making a plan and then doing nothing about it. You know, so that's where I thrive. That's the part I enjoy the most. But then coming with an action, it also has to be aligned with some sort of purpose, you know, like the ikigai, the Japanese ikigai, if you know it.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like what you're good at, what you can be paid for, what are the other things, what the world needs. So it's like a combination of that. So then I'm like, okay, you can do it for a while, like you make the plan, you start acting on it, and then you see the results or not, you know, and then why do you stay consistent? So that's, I think it's your most inner drive, I guess.
Yes. And I really enjoy, like, I don't know if you've read the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek, but that's really what you're talking about. It's really understanding your purpose and why you want to do something. Because I think a lot of time, I know for myself at the beginning, I was just doing different things until I had to take a step back and really reflect on, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I helping people with their careers or helping people with their businesses? And for me, it was just at the end of the day that I had different mentors and people came into my life, and I just had a lot of passion to connect with people and see them become their most incredible versions of themselves. So not to try and make them like me, but to make them the best versions of themselves.
Nice. How did you start as well? I feel like throwing the
throwing it back to me. So it's kind of a longer story, but it's like, to shorten it, I was in college. I had always been involved with different student organizations. One of them was for people who were underrepresented in STEM, who were not the majority of people in STEM. So people were Black, Hispanic, and women. And so I was a part of that and actually got involved with one that actually helped you do undergraduate research. And so that was really like my first internship experience, and they helped with different workshops and stuff. And I really did that all of college. And then after college, I helped to form like an alumni association for them with another student. And then from there, that was really more regional, I would say, between the 3 states that my university was surrounding. But then 3 years ago was when I reached out to another, because it's a national grant through the National Science Foundation. And so there's another one that kind of worked with 50 of these other grants and locations that had like each of these headquarters had like maybe 10 different universities and colleges involved. So I reached out to them, trying to figure out if we could partner with anyone. And then from there, they said they didn't have, and there wasn't any other alumni associations, surprisingly, but they liked our model. And so they reached out to me to say, like, can you lead this for us and like connect these different institutions and colleges, universities. So that was like beginning of 2020, right before everything shut down. The plan was to go to different, they have conferences for all of these, go to different conferences, talk to people about it, recruit them to see if they'd be interested in joining this alumni association, really working on helping current students. And so COVID shut everything down, but we really kept going. I recruited a couple more people, and we did everything virtually. So a lot of LinkedIn stalking, Facebook stalking, all of that stuff to just find people, reach out to them. And then really the rest is history. They're able to form that nonprofit. And then around the same time when COVID ended, I formalized a lot of stuff I was doing with speaking to different universities and colleges into my brand IncrediPaul, which was just more speaking. And coaching didn't really start until 2021 after I got certified through Maxwell Leadership. I don't know if you're familiar with John Maxwell, So certified through him. Yeah. So through the coaching and speaking, got certified in 2021. So we get to take the principles of John Maxwell and bring it into the STEM world. So it's been really exciting.
Wow. And look at you doing all these amazing things. Love that.
Yeah.
Feels like COVID just like boost everything, right? For
Yeah,
everyone.
I
Like,
know. It
did
really.
you find your purpose or?
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting what COVID did. It was really a really tough time, and a lot of people faced significant things, but it also caused the world to slow down and really think about what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So switching gears a little bit, I know that you're a TEDx speaker. So tell me more about that. Like I know I see different clips of the TED stage, and I know, at least for me, I think someone at some point has said, "Thanks for coming to my TED talk," when they say something that they get on their high horse about something. But talk about more about that experience, how that happened, what it was like. It's amazing. Congrats on it.
Thank you. So I think it's a one in lifetime opportunity. I know there's people that do multiple, but for me, I did one last year.
Yeah.
And again, it's not very common as a Portuguese person to take a gap year or to take, because people normally take the normal traditional route, right? They go through college, they go through university, then they find an entry level role. Most people not really leave the country, and the ones who do, like, they travel, they come back. So my approach to job search and to be like, I want to find something I truly enjoy, and I don't want to just go the consulting route because I was scared to try something else, and maybe I'll find something else about myself. So my whole journey of like laying down hypotheses of things I want to try out, go outside in the world to, figure out a way to do it. And even when I couldn't leave my house, I was still looking for projects, finding ways to like validate or completely eliminate the hypotheses that I had in the beginning, or like just transform them. So I was sharing that very publicly. And at the time, like everything is people, right? It's the whole world, and it's just a big social network. So I was sharing that with people. At the same time, I was like, okay, if I'm going to take a gap year, I have some savings, but it's not like a huge amount. Let me try to find some scholarships, some media coverage. So I was like doing a lot of outreaches.
Oh, wow.
And nothing really worked. So I'm saying this of the background, like nothing really worked. Like I applied for all these scholarships. They ended up taking people who they just wanted to go back home, like connect with their family but I got a lot of connections through that. So everyone was following me on social media. They were still walking through my path. They would send me messages. And I think someone just reached out to me, right? I was already doing an internship in Berlin at the time. Like I had finished my gap year. I was working there. And then someone reached out and they were like, so we're doing these TED Talk, this TEDx event. And the topic is finding purpose. So I think you'd be perfect for that. And you can tell your story and how you apply this, concept of how can I find purpose in my life to your life and career, and just walk us a bit through your journey. And I was like, yes, please take me. And the rest is history, right? It was really fun.
That's so remarkable.
Yeah.
Wow. But I have no words for that. Just how it all came together. Where it felt like things weren't moving, but someone just reached out to you, and that's incredible. I love that.
Yeah, it was actually like, just as a side note. So I was doing a lot of events online as well. Yeah. So I started creating content, and I was like, okay, let's scale this. Let's create these projects. And then I was like, I really just want to connect with people. I can do it online through my content, but I want to be able to speak to them. I want to be able to like listen to their stories.
Yes.
And I was doing a lot of events online and workshops and talks.
Yeah.
But it was not that, I remember doing one where there was like 150 people. I could not see any of them. I saw the number. I had no face. I had no human connection. Yeah. And I was like, wow, I just want to do this in person. Yeah. And actually my TED Talk was the first time, not the first time, but like the first time I had a big audience, and I was doing that in person, and I was shaking. And I was like, wow, this is my first in-person event. I was shaking, like, with also like so much adrenaline,
Yeah.
It's like, this has to go well. And then after that, I was just like, wow, I just want to keep on doing this. It's like what gives me life, like be able to tell a story and connect with people in person, usually.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I know a lot of the time through COVID, through different speaking events, that there was not that interaction. It was you just see yourself on the screen, you don't see anyone else, and it's I don't know about you, but I think sometimes it feels a little bit lonely at times when you do that. I definitely
Yeah, and you see that people probably have double screens. They're like looking sideways, and you're like, "Do you have any question?" And someone might have a question, but they have to like unmute, or sometimes they have like pride, and I mean, it's definitely not the
yeah.
same.
Yeah, in person it is so much better. There's nothing like the human connection, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love that. So as far as I know, you talked about a lot of stuff you talk about with your purpose, what you do in your business, but how do you
Mhm.
stay motivated through difficult times? Whether it's like what you just mentioned that you were just waiting on
Yeah.
getting some feedback back, all the outreach you're doing. How do you stay motivated?
Yeah, so I think that's again a very good question because I do not believe in motivation, right? So I think definitely when you are starting a project or a new job, a new role, where there's something that's starting from 0 to like 10,
Yeah.
you have a lot of motivation, so you need to leverage it so that you
Mhm.
can build the foundations the fastest, the most efficiently
Yeah.
possible. But as for social media, for example, or projects like these public speaking workshop events,
Yeah.
it's something that I've been doing for a long time. And even sometimes someone reaches out to me, or I'm like, do I really want to reach out? Like I've already done like so many events.
Yeah.
So in the end, like, do I really want to spend 4 hours of my weekend writing LinkedIn posts for next week? Like, which kind of benefit is this giving me?
Mhm.
And then again, you go back to your deeper why. And you're like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Okay, because I was in that position. I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to share. So that's number one. But then I still think that's not enough without discipline, right? So motivation only works in the short term. And then what you
Yes.
need is like some sort of discipline and structure to put an alarm, to wake up in the morning, to say like, okay, every 5 days a week, so every weekday, there's a post coming live at 10 a.m. It's in my calendar, so I'm going to honor it. And how do I honor it? Like that's future projection.
Mm.
So on Monday, there's a post there. Today is Saturday. So I will have to write on Saturday or Sunday, or the week before. So you need to plan ahead. And that requires structure, organization, discipline more than motivation, I'd say.
Yes. No, that's so
Yeah.
true. That discipline is an underrated, I don't know if you
Mhm.
call it skill or just something that you need to develop because there's never going to be a time that you're always want to want to do something, whether
Yeah.
there's conflicting priorities or you just feel tired or whatever it is. And I think
Yeah.
having that discipline, the way you mentioned, like knowing your purpose and your why helps you to stay grounded. But at the end of the day, it's just doing it even when you don't feel like doing it until
Yeah.
you actually do it. I heard it, I don't know if you've heard it somewhere that it's a lot easier to do something when you don't feel like doing it, and then after you start doing it you enjoy it, than if you don't feel like doing it and waiting for yourself to feel like doing it.
Oh, you'll never.
Yeah, you're never gonna do it.
No,
So
absolutely not.
yeah,
That's a great thought. I think for myself, there are definitely, so I always have a baseline motivation, right? It's not like, I don't think it ever exhausts just because I really enjoy doing these things. But there's definitely like times where I'm like, okay, my motivation is like so low that I need extra discipline. And
Mhm.
then what I do is just try to find something that either I find it impossible or really hard to do for
Mhm.
myself, because that will help, like it's the same of like throwing cold water into me and be like, okay,
Oh,
we need to realize.
yeah.
And so for me lately, or like, my last challenge was I signed up for a marathon.
Oh wow.
So I was at the point where like I started my job. I was looking to start this new job. All the projects were like growing steadily, and I was like, okay, now I'm waking up and I need something else, I need something to take me out of bed, because now, okay, I enjoy my job, but I already know what I'm doing. And there's like new things, but I need like a revamp to like kick me out and build that discipline. So like a skill. So I was like, okay, let's do a marathon in 6 months. I've never done that.
Wow.
And I just bought it, along with a friend. And then I was like, okay, now I need to reverse engineer, because I'm signing up now for this event in 6 months. So what can I do now to like build myself to be ready when the day comes?
Yes.
So then it's when you like you build a plan, you're like, okay, maybe I cannot go out this Friday because I need to run 10K or 20K on Saturday, So your life starts shifting around this challenge. So every time I start going down, I'm like, okay, what's the next challenge? What will I need to build to like change my routine to get discipline from this? And then everything else just kind of falls into place, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, that's remarkable that you set a goal to run a marathon in 6 months. And I'm talking about it. Most people never run a marathon, and you set it in 6 months that you did it. That is incredible indeed.
Maybe you should do it now. I'll send you all my plans.
Oh yeah, I didn't do that, because even for me, I'm not a fan of running. I'm more so into like more powerlifting and weightlifting, so I don't like running. I do some cardio, but running and I always tell people that I'm built for short distances, like sprints and stuff. But you have motivated me. I think that's something I need to do and stretch myself, because if anything, that's like I have a limiting belief in that area that it's not something that I can accomplish.
Yeah, on limiting beliefs is also a big thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like sometimes we don't even realize, and sometimes that's I think something I struggle with, and sometimes I think about, because it's like, okay, what kind of limiting beliefs do I have in regard to some of the goals that I don't know I could consider pursuing, because it's just so ingrained in me and my culture.
Yeah. No, seriously, that's so very, very true. Because there's certain things like in certain areas someone can be really driven and can do some things, and other areas you're like, I could never do that. But it is that limiting belief. And I know that you recommend books on LinkedIn. So I know like recently you recommended How You Measure Your Life. And so I've actually, well, I wasn't reading it, listening to it on audio. And so like one of the things that stuck out there is that what he was talking about, a lot of times people do things that are beneficial in the short term, but what they say they actually value, they're not actually putting forth the effort into it. So you mentioned about like people in their career and they say they value their family, but they're working all the time, don't spend any time with their family. But then when something happens, they expect their family to support them, but they didn't put in the effort and the time into things that matter most. So for you, I know you recommend the book, so you know about it, and but what matters the most for you, or what are the things that you want to measure your life with?
That's good. I thought you were gonna ask me, what is a book you recommend? I was like, okay, how many are we gonna go for? But in terms of things I value my life with, so I think people say that you cannot have it all. Like, oh, there's so many different areas of life. Maybe you need to pick 2 or 3 to focus on and optimize those in different seasons of your life, and focus on different areas. I do not believe that's true. Right. So I'm like, you can have it all. You just need good time management, understand that, of course, maybe sometimes you need to focus more on your work because you have an ongoing project, or on your personal projects, and other times more on relationships.
Yes.
But you always need to like consistently invest in the different areas of your life. So for me, the most important thing is relationships. Like, no doubt, I'm a people's person. I cannot thrive without my support systems, my friends, my family. I'm not a person that keeps up with people every single day and cares about like wherever dates people are going on or wherever drama is going on
Yeah.
at people's workplaces. I'm not the type of person. I prefer just call friends, stay talking for 1 hour, and hang out with people in person.
Yeah.
So that's my baseline, because in the end of the day, when you take all these labels outside of you take your job, you take your projects, you take all of these out, your hobbies even, what remains is who is next to you, who's holding your hands, right? And so
That's powerful.
but it's also like, in a way where I think my deeper purpose is, I mean, obviously influencing these people in a positive way, but is how can I be better to attract better people and to build this kind of community? How can I do that in regards to my personal projects, being
Yes.
social media, being, public speaking workshops, this kind of small projects that I always have ongoing. So sometimes I like default to that, because that's the easy way. I'm very passionate about my projects. I could do this forever.
Yeah.
And then if you're like, okay, time management, calendar management, how do we balance everything out and make sure that we're fulfilling the different areas? And maybe I don't know if I'm like diverging from your question, right?
No.
But it's like something every month I try to sit down. So I put a reminder every single month before the month starts, and then when it ends, I'm like, okay, different areas of life. It's on the Notion page. I love Notion. And then I'm like, okay, how did I do family-wise? How did I do relationships-wise? How did I do work-wise, projects-wise? So I reflect on it. How did I feel? And sometimes, again, it's your own expectations and it's other people's expectations. So I'm like, okay, I'm fulfilling my own, but am I making sure that people are happy and aligned? And so try to leverage for next month and for the future.
Awesome. I really love that. So talk about John Maxwell again. He talks about having the margins in your life to take the time to reflect. It sounds like you're doing that, because so many times life gets really busy and we're doing things. And I think this is that activity does not mean productivity. So just because you're doing a lot of things doesn't mean you're actually going towards the goals that you want to do. Maybe you think you are, but until you take that time to reflect, you don't actually know. You're just you're spinning your wheels, running on the treadmill or hamster wheel, whatever you want to call it. So I think that's amazing that you're able to do that. Because I know, like, a lot of people, it takes them 30, 50 years. Some people never get to that stage in life where they are being really intentional with their life, intentional with what they're doing. And I also like what you were talking about with having it all. And really, having it all doesn't mean that you have it all at the same time. Like what you were saying is that there's certain times you have to put more time toward your family. Maybe it's a special event or anniversary, whatever it is, or for your friend, anything. Or sometimes with a career, there's longer hours. And so sometimes I say that there's really no such thing as work-life balance, because when you say balance is the same, it really ebbs and flows with what your priorities are, and then what you're saying to make sure you're reflecting on a regular basis. I think monthly is perfect to make sure that what you say you're valuing is actually being reflected in what's on your calendar.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I would not have put it better. And I think this thing of intention, like, it's a very, very big thing for me. But sometimes I fall in and out of it, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's a constant reminder, because like I can get very, very excited about the project that people present to me. But then I'm like, okay, like I have this thing where I know that after 20 minutes, you have already made a decision. Your brain already considers all the pros and cons of a possible situation. So I try my best not answer immediately if I don't have to, and be like, okay, if it's a message, just leave it there for a couple of minutes, go outside, do other things, and then come back to it with more clarity. Where it's like an invite for something, the same. Because I can get very, very excited, and I'm like, yes, of course I want to go to that party. Oh, of course I want to chop into that project. But then it's like, what does it actually mean, and how does it fit into your life and what you're trying to build to the future, right? So I'm like, okay, there's my core purposes. There's maybe short-term projects I can say yes to, because I mean, it's exciting. I just want to do it. But if it requires a lot of commitments, if it's something for 1 year, I'm like, does it actually fit into the direction I want to take? Or am I just filling in my time? And then I cannot have it all,
That's really good. I love that. Cool.
Yeah.
We are about out of time, but is there anything that we haven't talked about yet, or you want people to know about you that you want to share?
I don't know if about me, like I'm from a high context culture, so I'm, which means like need to explain a bit. And sometimes I struggle with like, okay, it's about me, but I think the main thing is just understanding that a lot, like I'm gonna take your point. So a lot of the things that we don't achieve in life is because we have these limiting beliefs or these imposter syndrome. And again, it's something that we can have, but it's not something that should block us from get to where we want to get. And sometimes the place we want to get is what we now know. So I think it's much more interesting to just take this open approach and be like, I don't know where I know. I want where I know, So it's more like just exploring, staying open, learning everything from every situation and every person. And then things just connect,
Yes.
It's not, we complicate everything too much.
Yes, it's very easy to follow. I want to make sure people know how to follow you, get connected with you, which you talk about your website, your social. I know you talk about LinkedIn and Instagram, TikTok. Like, just share how people can stay connected with all the wonderful things that you're doing.
Okay. So I'm everywhere, I guess. Same as you. It's Mariana Kobayashi, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. And I think that's all it.
Awesome. And I'll make sure I'll link it in the show notes for the podcast, whether it's on YouTube or you're listening. And for those of you who are listening, what are you doing? You should get it on YouTube. You're not seeing the interaction. You're not seeing us. This thing's great. Thank you for listening. I'll definitely check out on YouTube next time as well. But it was really amazing having you on the podcast, Mariana. Your energetic presence, it just comes off that what you're doing. I can tell that you're really passionate about it, that you enjoy it. It really fuels you. It comes through the screen for me. And it's just been an honor to have you on the podcast. I know there's a lot of other things you can do, whether it's just living life or all this other projects or stuff that you're working on. So I really appreciate you being on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was great chatting with you. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing this podcast as well.
Yes, definitely. And for those of you listening, I hope you learned something from Mariana's story, what she shared about where she didn't know anything about tech, and then she just started doing stuff, working with her friends on it, and she got into tech, experienced some imposter syndrome. She was able to get past that and really thrive in it. And then all the stuff she's doing, and then already a TEDx speaker. Like, I can't get over that. That's amazing. But I think if anything for everyone listening is that keep working towards your goals and this whole idea of limiting beliefs. If there's anything that you think you can't do, I would encourage you to either reach out to a coach, a counselor, whatever it is, to just unpack that, understand why is it that you feel you can't do it. Because really, humans, we can pretty much do anything we set our minds to. But thanks for listening and keep being incredible.
Thank you for listening to the IncrediPaul podcast with Paul Ferranbi. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. We'll see you here next time. And be incredible. Incredible.